There's a specific kind of rejection that leaves no bruise you can point to. You leave a conversation thinking, that went pretty well. You were friendly, you made a few jokes, you shared a story or two. Their messages afterward are polite, the emojis are still there. Nothing looks obviously wrong. But a few weeks pass and something small begins to shift. Invitations slow down, the deeper talks stop. Group plans somehow happen without you. People still smile when they see you, but they don't really let you in anymore. On the outside, everything looks fine. On the inside, you can feel the distance. So you do what most people do. You go back into your own head and replay every word. Did I say something offensive? Was I too much? Not enough? You can't find one big mistake, one dramatic moment when everything broke. You just feel like you're standing outside the window of your own life, watching connection happen for everyone else. Here's the truth almost no one tells you. What quietly pushes people away usually isn't one huge act. It's a pattern of tiny habits in the way you talk, listen, and show up. Habits so small you barely notice them, but heavy enough that other people slowly step back. The Stoics would never tell you to obsess over who likes you, but they would tell you this. You can't control who includes you, yet you can always examine how you appear in every conversation. Epictetus taught that our power lies in what we do, not in what others choose. So instead of asking, "What's wrong with me?" a better question is, "What am I repeatedly doing that might not feel safe or nourishing to be around?" In this video, we'll walk through 9 quiet conversation habits that push people away and how to change them using Stoic wisdom. Not so you can perform better or become more charming, but so you can build real, steady, honest connection. If you're ready to stop feeling confused and start seeing the invisible patterns you can change, consider subscribing to Stoic Current and say this quietly to yourself. I'm allowed to change the way I show up in every conversation. Habit 1. Silent betrayal, sharing someone's private story as if it belongs to you. This habit cuts deep because it doesn't just damage a moment, it damages the foundation every relationship stands on: trust. Picture this. Someone sits across from you and decides, quietly, that you are safe. Maybe it's a coworker after a long day, a friend on a late call, a sibling you've grown distant from. Their voice drops, their shoulders soften. They tell you something they haven't told anyone else. They're on medication for depression and terrified their boss will find out. In that moment, they're not just giving you information, they're handing you a key. Trust is like giving someone the keys to your house while you're away. It says, "I believe you'll protect this space like it's your own." When you repeat their story to someone else, even just to get advice, you don't just unlock the door. You invite other people to walk through their rooms and look at their life from the inside. Most of the time, you don't think of yourself as a gossip. You tell yourself, "I'm just worried about them. I'm just processing. I'm just asking what I should do." You change a few details. Maybe you don't say their name, but the details are specific enough that anyone close to them can put the puzzle together. And eventually, it almost always gets back. Imagine this. A woman at work comes to you one afternoon, eyes red. She says she's been having panic attacks. She's started taking medication. She's afraid people in the office will see her as weak, unreliable, broken. You listen, you nod, you say you're there for her. Later that week, you mention it to another coworker over lunch. You frame it as concern. "I'm really worried about her. She's not sleeping. She's on meds now. Do you think we should tell someone?" Within days, the story has moved quietly through the office. You don't see the whole chain. You only see the result. One afternoon, someone makes an offhand comment to her in the break room. "Hey, I heard you've been having a rough time. You okay?" And she realizes, in a single, cold second, that what she whispered to one person is now an open secret. Shame hits like a wave. her nervous system goes on high alert. The story in her head shifts from, "Maybe I'm safe here," to, "I will never make that mistake again." That's what this habit really does. It doesn't just spread information. It teaches people they were wrong to trust you. It teaches their brain to put you in a specific category. Not evil, not cruel, just not safe. When your mind files someone under "not safe with my inner world," it will still smile, still say good morning, still talk about projects and weather and weekend plans, but it will not hand over the key again. Marcus Aurelius wrote about integrity, about being the same person in private that you appear to be in public. And integrity isn't about grand gestures. It's about the small, invisible choices you make when the person who trusted you is not in the room. When you treat someone's story as content, when you use their vulnerability as something interesting to share, you're choosing entertainment over character. You're valuing being the one who knows what's really going on more than you value the human being who let you see what was really going on. First, adopt this rule. If it touches someone's emotions, their history, their mistakes, their mental health, their relationships, or their family, you treat it as sacred by default, private until clearly, explicitly told otherwise. Second, build a question into your mind. If they were standing right next to me, hearing me say this, how would their face look? If you can feel even a flicker of discomfort when you imagine that, you stay silent. You let the story remain where it belongs, with them. You don't owe anyone else an explanation for why you won't share. You can simply say, "That's not my story to tell." This is how you become the kind of person people can cry in front of without fear that tomorrow their tears will be everyone's lunchtime conversation. This is how you begin rebuilding the kind of trust that relationships are actually made of. Habit 2. Turning every conversation into a debate. Someone tells you they loved a book, and before they finish, you're explaining why it was overrated. They mention they're trying a plant-based diet, and you're already listing risks. They say they're excited about a new habit or idea, and your mind instantly starts building a case against it. You tell yourself you're just being honest, that you're helping them think more clearly. But to them, it doesn't feel like care. It feels like this. Every time I open my mouth around you, I have to defend myself. Most people won't say this to your face. They just adjust. They share less with you. They keep conversations neutral and safe. They stop talking about what they're really trying, fearing, or dreaming about, because they've learned that any honest thought becomes a target. Every thought someone shares with you starts as a white flag, not of surrender but of connection. Here's a piece of my inner world. I'm trusting you with it. When you respond by poking holes or arguing, you turn that white flag into a red one. Their body doesn't experience intellectual debate. It experiences, "I need to protect myself." I knew someone like this in a group chat. If anyone mentioned a new car, a new habit, a new way of eating, he'd send long messages about why it was foolish. If someone talked about meditation or therapy, he'd paste links calling it pseudoscience. Whatever people were trying, he had a counter-argument ready. At first, people argued back. Then they stopped. The chat that used to be full of questions and doubts slowly turned into a place for memes and dog photos. It wasn't that they had no thoughts. It was that they didn't feel safe sharing them with him. He couldn't see it. "People are so sensitive now," he said. "I'm just challenging their thinking." What he missed was that his need to be right had become heavier than his presence as a friend. Epictetus taught that when someone speaks badly of you, first ask if what they say is true. If it is, correct yourself. If it isn't, let it go. Notice what he didn't say. He didn't say, "Correct every wrong opinion you hear." He didn't say, "Turn every difference into a fight." Stoicism is not a license to become the correction police. It's an invitation to guard your inner peace and choose your battles so carefully that your mind is not chained to every opinion around you. Underneath the urge to debate, everything is often a quiet fear. If I let their view exist, does that make mine less valid? If I don't correct them, am I endorsing something wrong? The ego wants reassurance. It wants to stand on top of the pile of arguments and say, I won. But what do you actually win if the prize is a relationship that's thinner and colder than it used to be? A little disagreement, gently offered, can be rich. Constant disagreement is exhausting. Each time you challenge someone, their nervous system has to decide, am I safe here or do I need to armor up? Over time, most people choose armor. They stop letting you see the parts of them that matter. A Stoic approach is different. Before you challenge, pause and ask, will this bring us closer or just prove I'm right? If the only reward is your ego feeling taller, let it pass. Save your energy for conversations where both of you have agreed to go into debate mode, where the purpose is shared growth, not point scoring. You don't need to run quality control on every opinion you hear. You can let someone be excited about a new habit without immediately presenting the counter-arguments. You can let them enjoy a book you didn't like without turning it into a review session. If they leave every conversation feeling smaller, more defensive, more tired, it doesn't matter how correct your arguments were. You've lost something more important than the point. Practice this. The next time someone shares something they're trying or something they enjoyed, notice the first critical thought that rises in your mind and let it die there. Instead, ask, what do you like about it? Or, what has that been like for you? Watch what happens when you choose connection over correction. And if you've realized you sometimes choose being right over being kind, write quietly, I choose connection over ego. Habit 3. Unsolicited advice. Turning someone's pain into a project. Someone says, I've been feeling exhausted lately. Before they finish the sentence, your mind is already building a recovery plan. Sleep earlier, cut caffeine, try this app, read this book, do this morning routine. You're halfway through your solution before they've even finished describing the problem. They tell you they just went through a breakup. Their chest is still tight, their voice still shakes a little when they say the other person's name. And you, with the best intentions, immediately launch into 7 steps to move on, 3 lessons they should learn, and a story about how you handled heartbreak the right way. You think you're being supportive. From the outside, it even looks like care. But to the person in pain, it often feels like this. You're uncomfortable with how I feel, so you need to fix me as fast as possible. When someone opens up, they aren't placing a broken object on your table. They're placing their bruised heart there. Imagine they slide it forward gently, saying, this is what I've been carrying. And instead of sitting with them and looking at it together, you keep your distance and hand them a checklist. Here are the 5 things you need to do with that. Let me know when you've completed all of them. You never actually touch the heart. You touch the problem around it. I've seen this play out in relationships over and over. One partner comes home, defeated after a brutal day. They sit on the edge of the bed and say, I feel like I'm failing at everything. What they really mean is, right now I'm scared, I'm tired. I need to know I'm not alone in this feeling. The other partner listens for 30 seconds and then switches into TED Talk mode. They start coaching. You just need better time management. Have you tried waking up earlier? You should make a vision board. Let me send you this podcast. Honestly, you're overthinking it. After a while, the hurting partner stops coming to them with real feelings. They still talk, but only about safe topics. They process their pain alone, or with a stranger on a podcast, or in their own head at 2 a.m. Because they've learned the pattern. Vulnerability gets converted into a self-improvement lecture. Here's the deeper truth. Most of the time, you rush to give advice not because they can't handle their pain, but because you can't. You feel helpless when you watch someone you care about struggle. Your nervous system doesn't like sitting in that helplessness, so your brain reaches for the fastest way to feel in control. Fix it. Optimize it. Turn it into a project. If you can assign action steps, you don't have to sit in the heavy feeling of not being able to make it all go away. But the person in front of you isn't asking you to be a mechanic for their life. They're asking, often without the right words, "Can you stand next to me while this hurts and not abandon me in it?" For someone in pain, the deepest need is rarely, "Please solve this." It's, "Please don't let me feel like I'm the only one inside this experience." Epictetus said, "Know first what the moment requires, and then act accordingly." Most of us skip the first part. We act before we've truly understood what this moment actually needs. Some moments call for guidance, plans, and real, concrete advice. Others call for nothing but presence, your body in the same room, your phone face down, your eyes soft, your words few, a hand on a shoulder, a simple, "That sounds really hard, I'm here." From a Stoic perspective, restraint is an action. Choosing not to fix, not to lecture, not to rush past emotion is a discipline. It's the discipline of letting reality be what it is for a moment before trying to reshape it. So how do you start changing this habit? Begin with one simple question whenever someone opens up. Do you want to talk about solutions? Or do you just need someone to listen right now? And then believe their answer. If they say, "I just need to vent," treat that as your assignment. Your job is not to upgrade their life in that moment. Your job is to hold space to become, for a few minutes, a room where they don't have to hide or perform. Practice sitting with someone for 5 or 10 minutes without giving a single piece of advice. Reflect back what you hear instead of correcting it. It sounds like you've been carrying this alone for a long time. I can hear how exhausted you are. It makes sense you'd feel that way after what happened. You're not agreeing with every thought in their head. You're acknowledging the reality of their emotional world. You're saying, "I see it. I'm not running from it. I'm not running from you." This is how you become the person people go to when they're hurting. Not because you always have the perfect answer, but because you don't leave them alone with the question. Habit 4. Turning every story into a competition. I've had it worse, or I've done it bigger. Someone tells you they had a brutal week at work. Deadlines stacked, a client exploded, their sleep fell apart. They're tired and a little proud of themselves for surviving it. Before they even finish, you say, "You think that's bad? Let me tell you about the month I just had," and roll out a story about an even harsher boss, even longer nights, even more chaos. Or they light up and say, "My channel just hit 1,000 subscribers," eyes bright, because they've been grinding for months. And you respond, "Nice. One of my videos just passed 1 million views," and launch into analytics, growth curves, and brand deals. You believe you're connecting. After all, you're sharing your experience too, right? But to them, it feels like their moment just got swallowed whole. The habit of one-upping is subtle because it often wears the costume of bonding. We're sharing similar struggles. We're both in the game. But underneath, there's a quiet rule at work. Whatever you say, I must say something bigger. Here's what it feels like on the other side. Imagine someone walks into a dark room carrying a small candle. They're proud of this light. It's not huge, but it took effort to create. They set it gently on the table between you. Instead of leaning in, warming your hands by it, you slam down a massive firework, light the fuse, and fill the room with noise and light so intense that their little flame disappears. When the sparks fade, you're satisfied because, for a moment, everyone was looking at your sky. But their candle is out. They didn't need your firework. They needed you to help protect their flame. I saw a version of this with 2 creators. One of them had been working late nights, posting videos that barely got views, doubting whether any of it mattered. Then finally, one video caught on. For the first time, they hit 1,000 subscribers. It wasn't earth-shattering, but to them it felt like breathing after being underwater. They told a friend, expecting shared excitement, "I finally hit 1,000. I know it's small, but I'm really happy." The friend smiled and said, "Oh yeah, that reminds me of when my client hit 1,000,000 in a week. The algorithm is crazy once it picks you up. Let me show you their graph," and spent the next 10 minutes explaining someone else's bigger success story. No insult was intended, but the message landed all the same. Your milestone isn't impressive here. That's what the one-up habit does. It doesn't just add information, it quietly downgrades the other person's experience. It tells their nervous system, this is not a safe place to feel proud or vulnerable. Whatever you bring here will be measured, compared, and found small. Underneath this habit is often a simple, very human fear. If I don't prove I've been through as much or achieved as much, I'll be overlooked. I'll be forgettable. It's the ego whispering, if their story stands alone, you'll disappear. If their success shines too brightly, no one will see you. If their pain is too big, your pain won't count. So you rush to put yourself back into the center of the frame, not because you're cruel, but because you're scared of being invisible. Marcus Aurelius wrote constantly to himself about other people's joys and sorrows. He reminded himself that another person's good fortune is not an attack on his worth, and another's pain doesn't erase his own. In the Stoic view, each person's experience has its own dignity. It doesn't need to be ranked to matter. Real confidence is silent enough to let someone else have the spotlight without needing to jump under it with them. When you let a friend celebrate a small win without adding your bigger win, you're not making yourself smaller. You're showing that your value doesn't depend on comparison. When you let someone talk about a hard week without responding with, "You think that's bad?" you're telling them, "Your pain is enough reason for my attention. I don't need to compete to earn the right to speak." So, how do you start breaking this habit? First, notice the urge. The next time someone shares good news or a struggle, feel that instant impulse to say, "That reminds me of when I..." Pause there. Don't shame yourself for the impulse. Just see it clearly. Then, before you say anything about yourself, force yourself to say at least one sentence that honors their moment. That can sound like, "I'm really proud of you for sticking with it this long. That sounds incredibly tough. I'm glad you made it through. I can see how much this means to you." And then, stop. You don't have to follow it with your own story. You don't have to balance the moment by putting yourself in the frame. You can ask a question instead. What was the hardest part? What did it feel like when you saw that number? What helped you not give up? You'll notice something shift. When you stop treating their story as a launchpad for yours, the conversation becomes less about performance and more about presence. One of the quietest forms of love is letting someone else's candle be the only light in the room for a while, and being genuinely content just to sit there with them, watching it burn. Habit 5. Making everything about you, turning other people into an audience. Some conversations don't feel like conversations. They feel like watching a show you didn't buy tickets for. No matter what the topic is, it somehow loops back to the same place. Your career, your journey, your feelings, your philosophy. Someone manages to get out 2 sentences about their life, and your mind latches onto a single word like a hook. Oh, burnout? Let me tell you about my burnout. Therapy? Let me tell you about my therapist. I've been reading about boundaries. Funny you say that. I've actually developed my own framework for boundaries. It's not that what you're sharing is bad. It might even be wise. The problem is that the spotlight never leaves you long enough for anyone else to really exist in it. Imagine this. Every time someone speaks to you, they're tossing you a ball. The natural rhythm of connection is simple. They throw, you catch, you throw it back. Sometimes you lob it gently. Sometimes you throw it higher and let both of you laugh as you chase it together, but it's always a game between you. When you make everything about yourself, you don't throw the ball back. You catch it, tuck it under your arm, and start sprinting in another direction, narrating your run in great detail. The other person just stands there, empty-handed, watching you perform with the ball that used to be theirs. At first, they might chase after you. They might clap, nod, even say, "Wow, that's so interesting." But over time, the exhaustion sets in. Why am I always watching and never playing? I saw this in a small group of friends who met for coffee every month. The idea was simple. Each person would share what had been on their mind lately: work tension, a relationship, a book that changed something inside them. The first few times, the circle worked. People opened up. There were tears, laughter, long silences that felt safe. But one person slowly turned it into a stage. If someone mentioned struggling with purpose, he would deliver a 10-minute monologue about his own journey, his breakthroughs, his systems for meaning. If someone confessed feeling insecure, he'd pivot to a story about how he overcame insecurity and the mindset shifts they needed to adopt. Any topic was raw material for another life lesson with him as the main character. He genuinely thought he was being helpful. He left those meetings energized, feeling like he'd poured so much wisdom into the group. But one by one, people stopped sharing deeply. They still met at the same cafe, at the same table, but the energy changed. The conversation moved to safe topics, TV shows, news, light jokes. After a few months, the group kept meeting, just without him. They didn't have a big confrontation. They just quietly chose not to attend the show anymore. Here's what's happening beneath the surface. Your brain may have picked up a rule somewhere along the way. If I am not in the story, I disappear. Maybe you grew up in a house where you only got attention when you were impressive or entertaining. Maybe you spent years being overlooked and decided, unconsciously, that the only way to be safe is to stay center stage. So when someone else starts a story, a tiny alarm goes off inside. I'm not in this. I'm not visible. I need to insert myself. And you do, over and over. But from the other side, the message they receive is very different. In the theater of your mind, I'm just a background character. As soon as I walk on stage, I become a prop for your monologue. Marcus Aurelius practiced the opposite. In his private writings, he forced himself to look honestly at other people's inner worlds, to imagine their fears, their desires, their reasons. He reminded himself that every person he met carried an entire universe of experience behind their face. Stoicism, at its best, isn't an obsession with your own development. It's a deep respect for the inner lives of others. So how do you start stepping off the stage? First, make a simple rule for yourself. For every one story you tell about your own life, ask at least 2 sincere questions about theirs. Not interrogations, gentle, open doors. What was that like for you? What are you most afraid of in that situation? What part of that are you most proud of? Second, experiment with something most people never try. A 15-minute conversation where you do not talk about yourself at all. You're allowed to speak, but only in the form of questions, reflections, and short validations. You might say, "Tell me more about that." Or, "It sounds like that took a lot of courage." Or, "What do you wish someone would say to you about this?" Notice how uncomfortable it feels at first. Notice how quickly your mind looks for an opening to say, "I went through something similar." And notice what happens when you let that impulse pass without acting on it. You'll start to see something important. You don't actually disappear when you're not talking about yourself. In fact, people may feel closer to you than ever, because for once they got to exist fully in your presence without being turned into an extra in your story. One of the greatest gifts you can give someone is to share the stage of your attention instead of hogging it. to let the scene be about them for a while, and to be genuinely interested, not just patiently waiting for your turn to speak. If you've realized you sometimes turn people into an audience, write, "I'm learning to share the stage." Habit 6. Divided presence. Talking to people while your mind lives in a screen. You've probably been on both sides of this. You're sitting across from a friend at a cafe. They're telling you about something that actually matters to them. A worry about their job, a decision about their relationship, a small victory they're secretly proud of. You're nodding, you're saying the right sounds. "Yeah, totally, I get it." But your eyes keep dropping. A notification lights up. Your hand moves almost by itself. You glance down, swipe, maybe type a quick reply. You tell yourself you're still listening. You can multitask. You're here, right? From the inside, it doesn't feel like much. Just a second, just a quick check. From the outside, it feels like this. I'm competing with a piece of glass, and I'm losing. In that moment, the conversation didn't just gain a third participant, it gained a third priority. The cafe table now has 3 people, you, them, and the screen. And it's painfully obvious which one gets your full attention. Your attention is like a flashlight in a dark room. Wherever it shines, that person feels seen, warmed, real. When it flickers away every few seconds, it doesn't matter how much you say, "I'm listening." The beam tells the truth. When it keeps jerking back to your phone, you're sending a message you would never say out loud. You are background noise. Any random message that appears on this screen is more important than the human being in front of me. Most people won't call you out on it. They've been trained to accept this as normal. They'll keep talking, they'll smile. They'll say, "No worries," when you apologize and say, "Sorry, I just have to answer this." But their nervous system is learning. It's learning, when I'm with you, I am not the priority. It's learning, if I want to feel valued, I shouldn't bring my most tender thoughts here. I should bring them somewhere I'm not constantly interrupted by buzzing rectangles. Slowly, without drama, they adjust. The topics stay lighter, the visits become shorter. Or they go to someone else, someone who, on paper, is not closer to them than you, but who has one difference. When they talk, that person's eyes stay on their face. From a Stoic perspective, this isn't just a social habit, it's a spiritual one. Marcus Aurelius was constantly reminding himself to bring his mind back to the present moment, to the task and person in front of him. He lived in a world of endless demands, crises, politics, the notifications of his time. And yet, he wrote, "Do what's in front of you with precise and genuine seriousness, tenderly, willingly, with justice." Today, the main thief of what's in front of you lives in your pocket. Your phone is not evil, it's powerful. But that power is exactly why your attention becomes one of the most sacred resources you possess. Whatever owns your attention owns your life. Whoever you refuse to be fully present with, you quietly lose. This habit of divided presence often doesn't come from malice. It comes from anxiety. Your brain whispers, "If I don't check, I'll miss something. If I don't respond, I'll fall behind." But in trying not to miss anything out there, you miss the only thing that actually exists, the living, breathing moment in front of you. So how do you begin to reclaim your presence? Start small and physical. In any conversation that matters, a date, a deep talk with a friend, a check-in with a partner, a moment with your child, declare a no-phone zone. That can look like turning your phone face down and sliding it out of reach, or putting it in your bag, not on the table like a third, silent guest. You don't have to announce it with a speech. Your action speaks just fine. Then, practice eye contact as a discipline, not as an accident. Challenge yourself. For 3 to 5 full minutes while someone is sharing something real, do not touch any device. Do not glance toward it. Let your eyes stay on their face, or if that feels too intense, on their hands, their teacup, the space near them, but in their world, not in your notifications. Notice the urge to break away, the little itch in your mind, the phantom vibration, the thought, what if something important is happening? And then tell yourself a quieter truth. Something important is happening. It's right here. The Stoics taught that your power lies in where you direct your mind. When you choose to keep your attention on the person in front of you, you're not just being polite. You're practicing mastery over the impulse to be everywhere and nowhere at once. Over time, the people around you will feel the difference. They may not have words for it, but their body will know. When I'm with you, I don't feel like I'm competing with anything. I have your presence whole, not in fragments. This is how you tell someone, without saying it out loud. Right now, there is no notification more important than the fact that you are here. Habit 7. Waiting for your turn to talk. Hearing without really being there. You've had this experience. Someone is telling you about their day, their frustration, their big decision. You're nodding. You're making all the right noises. Yeah, I get you. On the outside, it looks like listening, but inside your head, something else is happening. Part of you is already building your response. You're thinking of the similar thing that happened to you. You're rehearsing the story you're going to tell when they finally pause. You're polishing the punchline, choosing the angle, deciding how you'll sound wise, funny, or impressive. A quiet thought runs under the surface. Okay, I get the point. When is it my turn? It feels harmless because you're not interrupting. You're technically letting them finish, but the entire time, you're not really with them. You're with the version of you that's about to speak. Imagine two microphones switched on in the same room, but not connected to the same speaker. Each person is speaking into their own mic, crafting their own speech, but there's no shared sound system. The words go somewhere, but not to each other. That's what this habit creates. Parallel monologues. Two people standing side by side, each waiting for their broadcast moment, while the other's words drift past like background noise. And the person in front of you can feel it. They may not know exactly why, but they sense it in the tiny delays, the bland responses, the way your eyes glaze for half a second when they say something vulnerable and your brain jumps to your own story. They walk away with a subtle, heavy feeling. What I said didn't really land. My words didn't get digested. They just got used as a bridge to whatever they wanted to say. When you listen like this, other people stop bringing you the parts of their life that matter. Why? Because at a deep level, being listened to is not about silence on your end. It's about feeling that your inner world is actually entering someone else's. When your attention is split half on them, half on your upcoming performance, their nervous system recognizes the split as distance, emotional distance. They may keep talking, but they'll start editing out the real stuff. From the Stoic perspective, this isn't a small social flaw. It's a failure of virtue. Epictetus is famous for the line, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." People quote it like a joke, a clever ratio, but there's something deeper behind it. To a Stoic, listening is a moral act. It is the discipline of letting someone else's reality matter more for a moment than your urge to be understood, admired, or heard. It's an act of humility. Right now, my role is not to be the main character. It's to witness, to understand. When you listen only to respond, you're not engaging with a person. You're using them as a prompt. You're not entering their world. You're waiting for them to finish so you can pull them back into yours. So, how do you start changing this? First, you have to slow the automatic jump your mind makes from their story to my story. The next time someone is talking, notice the exact moment your brain starts preparing what you'll say. You'll feel it. A little surge of, "Oh, I have something good to add here." That's the point where you usually leave the conversation mentally. Instead of following that impulse, practice staying. Bring your focus back to their words. Listen not for your angle, but for their meaning. Ask yourself, what are they really trying to tell me? Where is this heavy for them? Where is this joyful for them? Then use a simple technique. Pause and paraphrase. When they finish speaking, don't respond immediately with your experience. Let 2 seconds pass. Just 2. It will feel longer than it is. In that small space, you're signaling to both of you, I'm not just reacting, I'm actually considering what you said. Then, before you talk about yourself, reflect back what you heard in your own words. So what I'm hearing is that you've been carrying this alone for a while. It sounds like you felt really dismissed in that meeting. It sounds like that win meant a lot more to you than people realized. This isn't a script to parrot. It's a way of proving you were actually inside the story with them, not just waiting at the exit. Only after you've done that, after you've demonstrated understanding, do you bring in your own experience. And even then, ask yourself why you're sharing it. Am I saying this to connect or to redirect? Am I adding this to help them feel less alone or to shift the light back onto me? If your answer is to connect, you'll notice your tone changes. Your story becomes shorter, more focused on serving them than showcasing you. You might say, I went through something a little similar. For me, the hardest part was, does any of that resonate with you? And then you come back to them, instead of staying with yourself. Over time, as you practice this, something quiet and powerful will change in your relationships. People will start opening a little more. They'll linger in conversations with you instead of rushing away. They may not know why, but their body will know. When I talk, I land. I'm not just a bridge to somebody else's favorite topic. That is the gift of true listening, not perfect responses, not brilliant advice, but the simple, rare experience of feeling like your inner world actually has somewhere to go. Habit 8. Interrupting and finishing people's sentences. You think you're helping, they feel themselves shrink. Picture a simple moment. Someone is trying to tell you a story. They pause mid-sentence, searching for the right word. You already see where they're going, so you jump in and complete it for them. Or worse, they're halfway through sharing a thought, and you cut in with your own angle, steering the conversation somewhere else. Inside your head, it feels efficient, even kind. I'm showing I understand. I'm keeping the flow going. I'm saving them from awkwardness. Inside their body, it lands very differently. For many people, especially if they're introverted, anxious, or have spent years being talked over, being allowed to finish a sentence is not a small thing. It's a quiet statement. My voice is allowed to exist here, from beginning to end. When you interrupt, you're not just cutting off words, you're cutting off that feeling of legitimacy. The experience is a bit like this. They're writing a line in their own journal, slowly, carefully. Halfway through the sentence, you grab the pen out of their hand and write the ending for them. Maybe what you wrote is close to what they meant, but it's not theirs anymore. Over time, people who are constantly interrupted learn something painful. What I have to say is not worth the time it takes to say it. They shrink their stories. They shorten their answers. They pre-edit their thoughts to fit into one quick breath before you jump in. Sometimes they stop sharing altogether. I once heard a woman describe her marriage this way. I don't bother telling him anything that takes more than one sentence because I know I'll never get to the second. Her husband wasn't cruel, just chronically impatient. He'd cut in with solutions, jokes, changes of topic. He thought he was engaged. She felt erased. Seneca wrote about patience as a core piece of wisdom. To him, impatience wasn't just an annoying quirk. It was a form of disrespect, a belief that your time, your thoughts, your pace matter more than anyone else's. When you can't wait for someone to finish, what you're really saying is, my mind is more important than your process. You might not believe that consciously, but your behavior whispers it in every cut-off sentence. From a Stoic lens, this is a chance to practice something very practical: restraint. You don't need to dominate the conversation to add value. Sometimes your most powerful contribution is the space you protect for someone else's words to land fully. So how do you start? First, become aware of the physical signal. Notice what happens in your body right before you interrupt. Maybe your chest leans forward. Maybe your tongue pushes against your teeth. Maybe you feel a little itch of urgency. Say it now, or you'll lose your chance. That itch is not a command, it's a cue. When you feel it, treat it as a red light. This is the exact moment to stay quiet, not to speak. Second, adopt a simple rule in conversation. You only speak after the other person has clearly finished and left a small space. Not a half-second inhale, a real pause. Let them stop. Count a slow 1, 2 in your mind. If they don't continue, then you go. If they do keep talking, your job is to keep listening. You can even support them verbally instead of taking over. If they're searching for a word, try take your time rather than supplying it. If they lose their train of thought, you can say, "You were saying that work has been?" and let them steer back themselves. The goal isn't to become silent forever. It's to give other people the dignity of finishing the thought they started. You'll be surprised what changes when you do this consistently. People who used to fall quiet around you will start expanding their sentences. They'll risk telling longer stories. They'll share more complex emotions instead of compressing them into something you can't interrupt. Because at a deep level their nervous system is learning, with you, I have room. My sentence doesn't get confiscated halfway through. This is how you go from being the person who always has something to say to the person others feel safe saying anything to. Habit 9. Only asking surface questions, keeping everything safe but cold. You know this script by heart. How's work? Busy. How was your weekend? Fine. How are things? Can't complain. On paper, it all looks polite. No one is rude. No one is hostile. But underneath, there's a hollowness. You walk away from these exchanges knowing a few facts about people's schedules and nothing at all about their actual lives. It feels like filling out a form together, not like having a conversation. Surface questions are easy because they carry almost no risk. You can ask them on autopilot. You don't have to be fully present. You can look engaged without ever truly stepping into someone else's world. But for the person on the other side, these questions quietly send a message. I don't actually want to know you. I just want to perform being polite. Most people will match the depth you offer. If you stay at how's work, they'll stay at busy. If you never move beyond everything good, they'll never move beyond yeah, all good. Not because they have nothing deeper to say, but because your questions never opened a door that felt safe to walk through. It's like standing outside someone's house, tapping on the fence and calling out, "House good?" You never step onto the porch, you never knock on the actual door, and then you wonder why you've never seen the inside. Part of you might believe you're being respectful, not prying, but often the real reason is simpler. Depth scares you. Going deeper means you might hear something you don't know how to respond to. It means you can't just nod and move on. If someone answers honestly, "Work is draining the life out of me. My weekends are lonely. I feel lost," then you're suddenly in a space that asks more of you than nice, and a smile. So you keep it safe. In doing so, you also keep it cold. Marcus Aurelius constantly reminded himself that every person he met carried hopes, fears, wounds, and struggles invisible to the eye. He urged himself to be genuinely curious, not about what people do, but about what moves them, troubles them, matters to them. For a Stoic, this isn't nosiness, it's respect. It's the recognition that another person's inner life is a universe, not a bullet point. You don't need to turn every chat into a therapy session. But if all your questions can be answered in one word, you're not inviting a human being to show up. You're inviting a status report. So, how do you change this habit? Start by upgrading the questions you already ask. Instead of, "How's work?" try, "What's been taking most of your energy at work lately?" Instead of, "How was your weekend?" try, "Was there a moment this weekend that actually felt good to you?" Instead of, "Everything okay?" try, "What's been sitting on your mind these days?" Notice the shift from "What did you do?" to "What was that like for you?" The first collects information. The second invites experience. When someone answers, resist the urge to jump away quickly. Stay with it. If they say, "Honestly, I've been tired," don't rush back to the script. Ask, "Tired in what way? Physically, mentally, of what?" Let them decide how deep they want to go. Your job is just to hold the door open. Will some people keep it light anyway? Yes. Not everyone is ready for depth, and that's okay. The point isn't to push. It's to make sure you're not the one preventing it. Over time, as you ask better questions and actually stay to hear the answers, something will change. Conversations that used to feel like paperwork will start to feel like meeting a real person again. This is how you stop collecting trivia about other people's lives and start actually stepping into their stories. You've just walked through a quiet map of why some conversations leave you feeling strangely lonely. You saw how it starts with the heavy habits, betraying someone's trust by sharing what wasn't yours to tell, turning every difference of opinion into a battlefield, treating someone's pain like a project to fix. Then you moved into the more subtle cuts, one-upping their story so yours shines brighter, dragging every topic back to your own life until other people become an audience, splitting your presence between their eyes and your screen. And finally, the softest habits of all, waiting only for your turn to talk, cutting people off and finishing their sentences, keeping every question on the surface so nothing ever has a chance to be real. None of these make you a bad person. They make you human and unaware. The Stoics never asked you to become perfect in how you speak and listen. They asked you to become honest, to look at your own patterns without running, without collapsing into shame, and without blaming everyone else. Marcus Aurelius examined himself daily, not with self-hatred, but with a quiet, steady question: where can I be a little truer today than I was yesterday? Small corrections, repeated, become a different life. You don't need to fix all 9 habits. In fact, don't try. Choose one you recognized most clearly in yourself. Maybe it's checking your phone, maybe it's interrupting, maybe it's turning everything into a competition. For the next 14 days, make that your practice. Notice when it shows up. Catch it in the moment. Gently choose the alternative. Stay present instead of scrolling. Let them finish instead of jumping in. Celebrate their win instead of topping it. One habit shifted, and your conversations will slowly change color. Hold this in your mind. I can't control who stays in my life, but I can control how I show up in every conversation. If this helped you see your patterns without shame, like this video and subscribe to Stoic Current so we can keep rebuilding your inner world, one conversation at a time. And if you're ready to go deeper, there's another video waiting for you on how to stop over-explaining yourself and how to set boundaries without guilt. Whatever you watch next, choose something that teaches you how to speak and listen with more courage and more care.